I review existing plans and policies on management of flood disasters in Nigeria.
Federal government inaugurates committee on prevention of flood disaster.
For the benefit of the peoples of the Republic of Cameroon and the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we have delivered.
Nigeria-Cameroon 1.5-kilometer border bridge project finally opens.
The entire electoral outcome will be a reflection of the true will of the people.
Also tonight, retreat on electoral-related offences optimistic on success of 2022 Electoral Act. Hello, this is NTA Network News. We are live in Abuja. I am Jummai Yusuf. Hengino John Adams joins us from Lagos. You can follow this news broadcast live on our social media platforms showing on your screen right now. The federal government has inaugurated the Presidential Committee for the Development of Comprehensive Action Plan for Preventing Flood Disaster in the country. The committee set up by President Muhammadu Buhari 10 days earlier was inaugurated by its chairman and Water Resources Minister Suleiman Adamu at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Musbah Wahab reports.
Flood like never before in Nigeria. Over 3.2 million people felt the devastation in communities across 33 states and the FCT. Fatalities run in hundreds and over 600,000 hectares of farmland washed away. Still disturbing are the looming consequences.
It is also a painful part. You might lose your property, your house may be blown off, but lives will be lost. And also people will fall sick. This will be a breeding ground for waterborne diseases.
Unwanted as it may sound, there are indications that climate change and its impacts like these may be worse in years to come. But Nigeria's government, apparently avoiding a repeat, is positioning itself ahead of the future. Nature demanded. President Buhari made the clarion call, and these are the men and women answering to save Nigerians from future flood disasters.
1. Assess and review existing plans and policies on management of flood disasters in Nigeria. 2. Identify and work with critical stakeholders in flood disaster management. 3. Identify and visit selected strategic flood-affected and prone areas. 4. Carry out technical evaluation of information obtained from the assessment. 5. Liaise and work with international organizations with expertise on flood management where necessary. And 6. Develop a comprehensive action plan for preventing flood disasters in the country.
Members of the steering committee include ministers and permanent secretaries of water, environment, humanitarian, agriculture, transportation, health, works and housing, representatives of selected states among others, and the technical committee members are also drawn from various sectors and headed by Director General of National Water Institute.
It is now our responsibility to prove to all of you that we have people in the country that can make it proud from the various ministries.
The 90-day presidential timeframe given for these assignments begins from this day, and ultimately, the expectation is that never again should human life be lost to flood in the country. In Abuja, Musbah and Wahab, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadiya Umar Farouk, says the federal government responded swiftly to the flood disaster outlook predictions to save lives and property. This was during the weekly State House briefing where she gave updates on strides made by the federal government through the provision of palliatives and emergency assistance to those affected by floods in various parts of the country. Elizabeth Omori reports.
Following the critical analysis of the 2022 annual climate prediction and flood outlook, a document on disaster management implication of the predictions was drawn.
The ministry, through the National Emergency Management Agency, produced flood vulnerability mappings for the whole country based on the 2022 AFO released by NISA, highlighting all communities at risk, and shared the documents with our partners.
The minister revealed that 612 persons were reported dead, more than 1 million displaced, 2,776 injured, 123,807 houses damaged, while 392,300 hectares of farmlands were washed away. President Buhari, the minister noted, approved the release of 12,000 metric tons of grains from the National Strategic Reserve for distribution.
And NEMA has already provided warehouse facilities in the 6 geopolitical zones of the Federation to receive the items.
The Presidential Committee on Flood Relief and Rehabilitation also donated assorted foodstuff worth 1.5 billion naira to NEMA for distribution. Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
Following the approval of emergency relief to victims of 2022 flood and other category of disasters by President Muhammadu Buhari, NEMA has reached out to beneficiaries in Borno State. The federal government intervention distributed by the NEMA Director General is a palliative meant to alleviate the sufferings of victims in a state that has gone through anguish from various forms of calamities. Abubakar Musa reports.
It is no longer news that most parts of Nigeria, including Borno, have been badly affected by flood occasioned by the heavy rainfall experienced this year. This unfortunate incident that has remained a burning issue owing to the untold hardship caused on residents is what necessitated the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development through the National Emergency Management Agency NEMA to present food and non-food items worth millions of naira, expected to cut across every victim of flood in Borno State, as directed by President Muhammadu Buhari.
We came here with a mission and we are able to achieve what we came for. This is a good gesture from Mr. President, the Minister of Humanitarian, and of course the Director General NEMA Emergency.
The Borno State government is highly appreciative of the gesture that is coming from the federal government through NEMA and through the silos.
The two federal and state humanitarian agencies also shared views on how best to continue providing interventions to victims of natural and human-induced disasters for sustainable progress. In Maiduguri, Abubakar Musa, NTA News.
Still on the effects of flood, victims in Rivers State who are living in internally displaced persons camps are witnessing a traumatic time due to inadequate food and lack of medical care in the camps. Diana Kunu Ulolo in this report takes a look at the challenges of the flood victims in the camps.
A visit to Edoha and Odiabede IDP camps in Abuja East local government area of Rivers State shows poor coordination of care for the internally displaced persons. Many of the flood victims were seen sleeping on the floor due to lack of mattresses. Despite the intervention of government through the provision of food aid, shortage or absence of basic medical facilities represent the major problems confronting the internally displaced persons.
As at now, government has not provided anything like food to us. And this camp covered 21 communities and towns in Lopata with non-indigenous of Ahuda West Extract.
Mosquito, they bite us. No net, nothing. Government, they bring food, but the food no reach.
As some of the camps visited, the internally displaced persons noted the effort being made by the community leaders to cushion the effects of the flood.
Before they will serve 10 or 15 people, they say medicine finish.
In addition to what the government brought to us, we have been able to mobilize our sons and daughters at home and in diaspora, and they've been responding positively by bringing in materials and cash, and which the committee set up by the Pata Kingdom is using to feed the people.
As the flood recedes, some of the internally displaced persons we are seeing leaving the camp to their houses. from Edoha Camp in Abuja East local government area of Rivers State. Yanukme Ulolu, NTA News.
Hard to see. Let's bring you up to speed with other news. Permanent Secretary of the State House, Tijani Umar, says the 2023 budget of Nigeria's seat of government will focus on completion of priority projects. He stated this at the budget defense session before the Senate Committee on Federal Character. Ignatius Unko reports.
Permanent Secretary of the State House, Tijani Umar, led the team that presented the State House 2023 budget of 21.1 billion naira before the Senate Committee on Federal Character. The 2023 budget is 19 billion lower than the 2022 appropriation.
We promise that we continue to implement our budget judiciously for the greater good of the citizens of this country and in discharge of the mandate that has been given to us as a public trust. We will be able to do the needful, and hopefully that will meet your needs. I assure you that if there is need for us to see you again, we'll call you almost immediately.
National Assembly Joint Committee on Land and Marine Transport scrutinized the 2023 budget of the Ministry of Transportation, where the committee advised the executive to work towards restricting budget implementation to January-December.
The Abuja Kaduna rail incident. With the release of those affected, the ministry plans to commence operation on the line, but not without taking proper precaution by installing necessary security gadgets.
Like National Assembly, you too, the executive, should strive to ensure that you also implement the budget within the budget year.
The Minister of Mines and State Development, Olamilekon Deputy, defended the 2023 budget of 37.2 billion naira for the entire ministry before the Senate Committee on Solid Minerals, Mines, State Development and Metallurgy.
This, to us, is a very important stage, because if we don't have proper performance, then we may not hope for a better performance subsequently.
The internally generated revenue for the year. Royalties, 4.677 billion. Fees, 2.643 billion. And the total, it's 7.280 billion. That is our internally generated revenue. So end of this September so far.
The National Security Advisor Babagana Mongono defended the 2023 budget before the Senate Committee on National Security and Intelligence with the expression of commitment to sustain the improved fight against insecurity. While at the Senate Committee on Navy, Rear Admiral Saidu Garba presented the 2023 budget of the Nigerian Navy. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
The 2023 budget proposals for Federal Road Safety Corps has dropped to 838 million naira from 2.6 billion naira appropriations in 2022. Now, this is part of issues raised by the acting Corps Marshal Dauda Alibiu at the House Budget Defense. National Assembly correspondent Abdullah Aminu reports.
After details of the Corps monthly overhead releases from January to October this year, the acting Corps Marshal gave a breakdown of the 2022 budget performance.
Personnel, it has performed at 79.19%. The overhead cost it has performed at 58.3%. The capital expenditure, that is the release, is 50% of what has been budgeted.
Observations made by the committee members include evidence of revenue remittances and the need to provide satellite clinics along federal highways for emergencies.
After that, you arrange a meeting between you and the technical committee of the committee for us to streamline where there's where we consider we should do make adjustment or any additional subtraction.
The committee, however, promised to ensure adequate funds for the Corps to properly discharge its duties. From the National Assembly, Abdullah Aminu, NTA News.
We'll take a break. When we return, more reports. Do stay. Thanks for joining us. To avert food insecurity as a result of poor harvest caused by flood and high-cost imported farm inputs, a paradigm shift by way of investment in research is being embraced in the agri sector. The Minister of Agriculture at the Budget Defense session with the House Committee on Agricultural Institutions speaks on action plans of the ministry in this regard. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The minister said that the federal government will from this month intensify activities to boost agricultural production to prevent likely food shortage.
In collaboration with other agencies, with the private sector, international organization, and of course the National Assembly, we are talking about going into intensive dry season farming to make sure that there is continuous production of food, that there will be food in the land.
The House Committee on Agricultural Institutions at the budget engagements expressed concern on the labor crisis in agro-related research institutions and urged the ministry to hasten amicable resolution.
Staff have been on strike for 13 months and nobody has reported to the committee.
While defending the 2023 budget proposal before the House Committee on Narcotics, the chairman of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency said part of the agency's capital proposal of 27.4 billion naira will be used to procure arms and ammunition to carry out the drug war in Nigeria.
We need to be fully armed with modern weapons that will outmatch that of the cartels.
Meanwhile, the House Committee on Science and Technology has queried officials of the National Center for Technology Management for spending more than 70% of the center's internally generated revenue without approval.
We will not adopt your budget till you provide all the relevant documentation.
The committee asked the Director General to submit the nominal rule of the center for scrutiny. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
To electoral matters now, as the 2023 general election is fast approaching, an independent observer group, the National Peace and Development Forum, has assured Nigerians that all arrangements put in place by the electoral umpire are in order, but it is appealing for a reorder of the sequence. Ikechukwu Nduke reports.
The National Peace and Development Forum, an independent election monitoring group, is lending its voice in the ongoing discourse on the reordering of the sequence of the 2023 general elections, beginning with the Goba polls, stating that it will help fight voter apathy.
The electorate will have a sense of belonging and participate more in the process, such that the entire electoral outcome will be a reflection of the true will of the people if the state election precedes federal polls.
The group states that from the experience in monitoring elections over the years, electorates are usually alienated from the presidential candidates compared to those vying for Guba and state legislators who they considered sons of their soil, appealing to INEC to see reasons and commence the 2023 general elections with the Guba polls. Ikechukwu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, strict enforcement of the Electoral Act 2022, especially provisions that deal with electoral offences, is key to peaceful 2023 general elections in Nigeria. Election stakeholders at a workshop in Abuja expressed confidence in the ability of the Electoral Act in ensuring credible elections. Timothy Yusuf tells us more.
So why must I kill another? Because I want to rule. If I kill everybody, who will I be ruling?
Members of the Association for Public Policy Analysis gathered here, giving their own perspectives on how the elections can be peaceful, believing that the 2023 polls will be a litmus test for the nation's democracy.
Consequently, further education programs of INEC and NOA and security agencies are expected to make provision for anti-electoral violence messages.
Critical election stakeholders are of the view that emerging threats to violence and rigging of the forthcoming 2023 general elections must be contained by all.
The forthcoming elections put the country at a very critical crossroad where Nigerians must get it right.
The handbook on electoral offences, violence and crimes for 2023 general elections in Nigeria is unveiled for political leaders, election management body and the electorate. The document identifies all the electoral offences spelled out in the 2022 Electoral Act. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
The Governing All Progressives Congress APC Presidential Campaign Council is now to flag off its campaign rally on the 15th of November 2022 in Jos, the Plateau State capital. In a statement, Director Media and Publicity of the Council, Bayo Onanuga, says this is in furtherance of the Council's commitment to roll out major programs running into the electioneering period proper in Kano and parts of the country. He appeals to party officials and faithfuls to accord APC presidential candidate a rousing reception as he addresses Nigerians and business community across all spheres. Nigerians will be given the opportunity to interrogate the APC's 2023 Tinubu-Shetima Presidential Campaign Manifesto. The Policy Research and Strategic Directorate of the Campaign Council is set to serve as a link between the citizens and the party. Saliu Banara reports.
The ground running.
The committee described itself as the heart of the APC 2023 Presidential Campaign Council and expressed readiness to explore relevant expertise in carrying the campaign messages to the grassroots.
This is the directorate that will cause the connection to happen between politics and policy. This is a directorate that will ensure that the giant strides that have been made by Muhammadu Buhari administration, especially in the areas of critical infrastructure, are communicated in the most effective and efficient manner to all classes of Nigerians.
Our work is basically very dynamic at the policy level, and there's so much more that can come out of it. That's an 80-page document, and perhaps one of the best that has ever been created in this country. It's a document that talks about how to do it, and it's not just about sound bites, all right? So it's about out-of-the-box ideas.
We are not afraid of it. We interrogated, we will answer questions. Every person, every member of this committee, of this campaign, and the candidates will now sit down and be able to explain this document for you.
All these, they say, will be achieved through teamwork. In Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
To other matters now, the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIMS, says it is planning to establish a television station that will be broadcasting for 24-hour issues on national policies and strategies for public understanding. The Director General of the Institute, Professor Ayo Omatayo, stated this during a council visit on management of the Nigerian Television Authority, seeking collaboration for technical and expertise support. Joseph Osen reports.
Established in 1979, the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies has the mandate to carry out policy researches, training of heads of organizations on effective policy formations and management, as well as publishing national policies. But the Institute feels not much of its work is out there in public domain and wants a medium that will keep the masses abreast with its activities and policy drive of the country.
And of course, having gone far and having believed that we can develop content, so okay, these contents also may still remain as documents that may never get to where it has to get to. Of course, we've been receiving support from NTA. We said, why can't we have our own television station that will focus on policy and strategies, that will broadcast policies and strategies as if it was broadcasting entertainment.
If you have any Director General, Nigerian Television Authority, Saliu Abdulhamid Dembos, expressed the need for a sound technical design and expertise for a smooth takeoff, pledging NTA is ready to send personnel up to a year to assist in planning and execution of the project.
A team in the directorate are very conversant. You can collaborate with them to look at what you have on ground. If there are certain things that they would like to advise you to do. And of course, in programming too, some other areas too, you need the definite, just like you have said, the support of the authority.
For the Institute, NTA antecedents as a leading national broadcasting station in the country, and the quality it has produced over the years places it as the most reliable shoulder to lean on. In Abuja, Joseph Utsen, NTA News.
The menace of disruption in education, especially attacks on institutions and out-of-school children, attracted educationists on the National Council of Education, the highest decision-making body in the sector, to chart a way forward. Abdullahi Musa Suleja tells us more.
For more than a decade now, the educational sector has faced inconsistency in the calendar due to attacks on schools. These attacks instill fear on the minds of parents, pupils and students as schools are closed down with growing apathy to studies on the part of pupils and students. The result is the increasing number of out-of-school children in the country. Worried by the development, the 66th National Council on Education chose the theme Strengthening of Security and Safety in Nigerian Schools for the Achievement of Education 2030 agenda. The idea is to address the numerous challenges in the sector. Minister of Education lamented the ministry's inability to achieve the desired goal of reducing the number of out-of-school children in the country. He attributed the failure to the nonchalant attitude of states, which possess the large chunk of schools but refuse to invest in the sector.
I came into office with the resolve to remove out-of-school children, and I failed. There are so many other reasons, most of which probably will have to do with new commissioners, because the resolve by states is not as strong as that of the Federal Ministry of Education. But I do believe if there is anything that is getting the short shrift in Nigeria, it is primary school education at the state level.
The council is expected to work out modalities that will reposition the education sector. Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA News.
Lagos is standing by with a set of stories from that zone. Hanging your own.
African Tax Administration Forum General Assembly election of its executives has climaxed with a dinner in Lagos. Joy Ken Ababoya, who captured the moment, reports that various cultural displays thrilled representatives from more than 40 African member countries.
For days, tax practitioners, multilateral agencies and other tax organizations from across Africa gathered in Lagos to strategize on better ways of revenue generation and tax collection, as well as elect new leaders for the forum. That out of the way, it was time to celebrate. It was not an evening for speeches as participants swayed to exciting cultural performances. For Executive Chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mohammed Nami, the beauty in African culture is what has united the continent.
The like this give us opportunity to learn from ourselves. The gathering like this give us to know that there is a traditional institution, a cultural food that has been in existence since 1854. It's such a symbol of entry.
Founded in 2009, the African Tax Administration Forum works towards enhancing Africa's capacity to raise the domestic resources needed by African governments to fund their programs. In Lagos, Joy Ken Abakoya, NTA News.
The changing narrative about improved ports operations in Nigeria is not only renewing investors' confidence in the country, but also saving costs and promoting the economy's full implementation of Nigeria Port Process Manual. The working document driving the change is, however, dependent on getting necessary buy-in of all port stakeholders. Adeni Itaiwo takes a look at ongoing efforts to ramp up global best practices at Nigerian ports.
As a point of entry for commercial goods and other cargoes, the port is a special area of economic interest for both government and the private sector. For instance, between when a shipping vessel arrives, discharges its cargo, and departs the ports, several agencies of government are involved in receiving the vessel. Until recently, the cumulative effect of this pattern of engagement on cargo dwell time, cost of demurrage, corruption has been unsavory for importers and business. However, for over a year now, vigorous implementation of the Nigerian Port Process Manual and interagency protocol for port operation is not only cleaning the audience table with zero tolerance for corruption, it is also keen about maintaining established timeline for processes.
We are happy and proud to say that because of the work of the PSTT, a certain degree of sanity and, should I say, an atmosphere that's conducive to the conduct of business in our ports is gradually being installed.
Like the examination of cargo, it is expected that when all agencies of government, whether there are 5 or 6 that are jointly examined, that examination form must be signed jointly at that particular position. Not that when you finish the year, you now take it to one office, another office, it's delayed.
By saving the Nigerian economy an average vessel demurrage of $20,000 per day between 2020 and 2021, totaling about 3.3 billion naira, the manual sure has a lot of potential. But for stakeholders, the end game is to place an enduring framework for global best practices.
There are a couple of other areas bordering, of course, on corrupt tendencies and practices that the ports handling task team, is also working very assiduously, to reduce the incidents. Now, NPPM has been able to map that process. Everybody can see what role each person has to play.
Going forward, it is expected that the NPPM would further improve information sharing and seamless transaction among port operators. In Lagos, Adini Itewo, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Time for another break. The news will be back shortly.
Thanks for rejoining us. Governor Muhammad Inuwa Yahya of Gombe State has presented over 173 billion naira as the estimated financial projection for the 2023 fiscal year. Emmanuel Akila reports that the budget proposal focuses more on its attention on infrastructure provisions.
He calls the 2023 appropriation bill budget of further consolidation, hoping to ensure the completion of projects he started. Of the over 173.6 billion naira estimated for 2023, capital expenditure takes 58.6%, while 41.4% goes for recurrent expenditure. A sectoral breakdown shows that works and infrastructure takes over 14 billion naira only. Education follows closely with over 11 billion naira. Then trade, industry and tourism with over 10 billion naira. The idea, according to the governor, is to complete the multi-billion naira Muhammadu Buhari Industrial Park while ensuring that education, health and social needs of the people are adequately provided for.
As the commercial nerve center of the northeast region, blessed with abundant human and natural resources, this administration is committed to provide the enabling environment for economic activities to flourish.
It is not the responsibility. The State House of Assembly proposed the financial plan, pledging to pass the executive bill expeditiously.
Citizen Consultative Committee.
As it is the usual practice in Gombe State since 2019, the annual budget process begins with a stakeholders engagement meeting, where the Ministry of Finance collects the suggestions of the citizens to determine the direction government spends taxpayers' money. In Gombe, Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
And in business news, Musa Abubakar is here to tell us what is going on.
Thank you, Jumai. The Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment is partnering Nigerian Export Promotion Council and other stakeholders to end the rejection of Nigeria agro exports to other countries. To this end, the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Nia Adebayo, has inaugurated a 10-man implementation committee on Nigeria agro export reject. The committee is to work as a team to make sure Nigeria agro exports are competitive at the international market.
Members of the committee to rededicate themselves to and to be able to accomplish the 13 national targets in due time. Distinguished members of the implementation committee, I want you to consider yourself fortunate to have been found worthy of this assignment, and as such, justify the confidence you put to you by working as a team to realize the dream of stopping the rejection of our
the processors, the exporters, and stakeholders, even the logistic team, is a complete value chain. We need to get them informed, we need to get them to know what the international market requires, and we need to build their capacity, and we need to get the infrastructures up to date to make sure that we comply.
Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency, SMEDEN, has signed a memorandum of agreement for One Local Government, One Product, OLAP, a program which sets to empower MSMEs in all local governments to contribute to job creation and poverty alleviation in the country. Director General of SMEDEN, Wali Fasanya, said the overall objective of government through the OLAP program is to deliver upgraded capacity in human resources, technology and finance to selected viable cooperatives with a view to improve their products in order to achieve competitiveness and reach domestic and international standards.
To be impactful and to still make sure that we touch the whole country, we decided to change it to one local government, one product, so that we'll be able to reach everywhere within a short time. And I'm happy to say that by the time we are concluding the ongoing phase, we will have touched virtually all the local governments in the country.
That's a quick look at business news. The news continues with Jumai.
Thank you, Musa. The Imo State government is to partner the federal government in ensuring speedy completion of the Material Institute in Ubutu in Abo BSA local government area of Imo State. Governor Hope Uzodimma disclosed this after a closed-door meeting with the Executive Vice Chairman of the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, Professor Mohammed Sani Haruna, in Government House Owerri. Beatrice Ayam reports.
The Executive Vice Chairman, National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI, Professor Mohammed Sani Haruna, and his entourage are in Government House Owerri to solicit collaboration with the Imo State government towards development of the Agricultural Equipment and Material Institute, Mboto, in Abombise local government area of Imo State. Governor Hope Uzodimma, while promising his support towards the completion of the project, expresses hope that the institute will facilitate mechanized farming, enhance food security, and provide job opportunity for youth in the state.
The project is near completion, and it is a promise that the project will soon be commissioned. I'm very happy that he is committed and he has lived up to his word, and that NASENI is really coming up to expectations of Nigerians.
Our farming method so far is still been subsistence farming. Farming, if it is not with modern tools and equipment, there is no how it can be viable and sustainable. It will ease the way we are doing farming to guarantee food security.
The institute is set up to facilitate the manufacturing of farming equipment in Owerri. Beatrice Anyam, NTA.
Nigerians and Cameroonians within the Mfon and ECOC axis of Nigeria and Cameroon are expected to experience free flow of human and economic activities. Now, this follows the formal opening of the Nigerian-Cameroon border bridge at Mfon. Abdullah Mohammed reports that this was performed by joint officials of both countries.
Discipline in the air, bases occupied, and it's about another additional blockbuster, not in the cinemas though, but in serving the democratic dividends to the people. The bridges are now in vogue. Like the canoes rowing under the flowing river, so the gates to traffic between Nigeria and Cameroon, concretizing a hand of friendship. This calls for a pop of champagne. And the talking heads took turns subsequently.
And therefore, for the benefit of the peoples of the Republic of Cameroon and the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we have delivered.
Indeed, the 403 meter long bridge is a symbol of friendship, brotherhood, and sincere cooperation. It illustrates the confidence between the two countries.
And give advice to the two countries to maintain, to make budget provision to maintain regularly these important facilities.
It's only less than a kilometer, or a critical link to the 204 kilometers Bamenda Highway and about 280 towards Abakaliki Enugu, including a world-class one-way processing border post, eliminating the double-post border processing unit stand.
The peaceful resolution of the Bakassi Peninsula issue has come with it so many pros for countries involved, with this symbolic event sowing the seed of the rebirth of the Trans-Saharan Highway, taking travelers from Lagos to Mombasa.
The Bakassi Peninsula dispute not fresh in the minds of those affected, but something fresh in the produce, which has played a critical role in bringing the two countries together.
If you go to the west, they will tell you that it's the west that produces the highest, but it's a lie. You can see things with your eyes, yes.
Now the Ekok Bamenda Highway gives way. The produce will no doubt be a trade partner in the progress of the two sides.
The formal opening of the Inform Bridge between Nigeria and Cameroon has no doubt opened a new vista in the relationship between the two countries. Minutes after this opening has taken place, the alternative bridge has witnessed a swell of traffic, meaning that people have been waiting for this to happen so that they will continue their normal activities. In Inform Cross River State, Abdullah Mohammed, NTA News.
Thank you, Abdullahi. Another break. The news continues shortly.
NTA, in collaboration with Havel Corporate Concept, presents Beyond the Debate, a series for all the 18 presidential candidates in the 2023 general elections to present their manifestos and visions to the Nigerian public as a social contract. Beyond the Debate will broadcast live on the network service of the NTA and stream on YouTube and other social media platforms beginning from 10th November 2022. The publicly signed manifestos by the candidates will be uploaded on this portal, www.summitofpoliticalparties.org. For further inquiries, please contact Dr. Padanga 08033173488, Howard 08033121022. Good morning, Nigeria. Year after year, they have been informed, educated, and entertained on when you needed information, knowledge, or an escape.
From generation to generation, the Nigerian broadcasting industry has worked tirelessly to serve you.
And now, this service will finally be recognized. This November, broadcasters all over Nigeria will gather for the maiden edition of the Nigerian Broadcasting Awards, an award ceremony set to reward hard work and unflinching excellence in the broadcast media. They've served and are still serving. It's time to say thank you. This award is organized by the Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, BON. For more details, log on to www.tnawards.ng and follow social media handles at TNB Awards.
You're welcome back. Sports update is next.
3, 2, 1,
Start!
One Benga Ezekiel, an SS1 student of Ijapu High School, Akure, has erased Razel Islam's Bangladesh's record of 262 skips in 1 minute on one leg with 4 additional skips, 266 and 267 in his World Guinness Record attempt at the Akure Township Stadium, Ondo State. As soon as the evidence is verified and certified, 16-year-old Benga Ezekiel will be the first Nigerian and African skipper to hold World Guinness Record in that capacity.
I thank all the people that support me to attempt this Guinness World Record, and I will be happy if my attempt is approved.
Meanwhile, with less than 2 weeks to the FIFA World Cup in Qatar, Timo Werner is the latest to join England Ben Chilwell, South Korea's Son Heung-min, and others on the treatment table as they risk losing out to the World Cup due to injuries. The likes of France Paul Pogba and N'Golo Kante have all been ruled out of the World Cup fiesta, which kicks off in Qatar this month due to injuries. In tennis, world number 1 Carlos Alcaraz reached the quarterfinals at the Paris Masters with a straight set win over Bulgarian Grigor Dimitrov. US Open champion Alcaraz 19 recorded a comfortable 6-1, 6-3 victory over 28th ranked Dimitrov. Meanwhile, Rafa Nadal is out of the Paris Masters after a second round 3-6, 7-6, 6-1 defeat by American Tommy Paul in just his final second match since the US Open and first since becoming a father. With sports update, I'm Austin Edemodu, NTA News.
Let's take a quick check on the weather prospect for tomorrow.
Welcome. We have report of poor visibility over most parts of the northern cities, as Kano reported as low as 900 meters, Zaria 1000 meters, Gusau 1500 meters, Gombe 1700 meters, and Katsina 2000 meters. We don't expect improvement as more dust is expected by Friday to give moderate dust haze to the northern parts of the country. However, few places should report visibility as low as 1000 meters and below. Sun and hazy atmosphere is expected over the central cities. However, few clouds are expected over parts of Kwara, Kogi, and Benue. The southern region should be predominantly cloudy during the morning hours, with prospect of thunderstorms later in the day to parts of Ogun, Ondo, Oyo, Edo, Imo, and the stretch of the coastal cities. Next is the air quality index and weather forecast across some selected cities.
That's it on the news. Remember to join the fight against rape and rapists. I am Jummi Yusuf.